50, which is insane, you agree?
Yeah.
But I'm only doing like one of these looks at it. I'm not diving deep, do you agree? So if you have Hoover, tell Hoover he's not diving deep. He's just going like on the surface of this stuff, okay? So I don't want Hoover to get mad at me. Or Superman. Who else? Or Branson. Terry, right. Hold on.
What?
Mr. Terry.
Why did we do that?
No, I do a moment of silence for Mr. Terry.
Why did we do
Because
that?
everybody loves him, like he's a god.
I don't. I despise that man.
I think he's flying around the room, and he drops these things.
Cheesecakes.
He plays like lacrosse and shit in the room, and he like, right, and I'm just jealous. I hate
I hate him too.
Why?
Okay.
Ah, wait a minute, that's a different issue though. That's a lacrosse thing. All right, so if Hoover says something like, "Well, you gotta do," just say he's not going deep. He's not diving down to the bottom. He's just skimming the surface of these waters. So, 1789. I'm doing this because we're going to eventually do 20th century poetry. I don't think you can understand 20th century poetry unless you understand how we got to the World Wars. It's that simple. So, how did we get to the World Wars? I think you can make a very easy case that the World Wars started right after the French Revolution because of it. So, 1789, people in France decide what? We're not happy with the king, we're going to revolt. Welcome to the French Revolution. All right, they have this thing in France. I don't think I gave you this term, but this is the term they use. Okay, the nobles, the clergy, and the commoners. That's the three legs France stands on. The term they call that is the three estates. No big deal. Okay. The guy that heads it all is
The Bourbon.
the Bourbon King, Louis. Okay, here come the Bourbons. They're absolute monarchs. They're bastards, right? They run everything. All the commoners hate them, and he hates the commoners. Okay, so they rise up, the commoners, with sticks, knives, forks, pitchforks, whatever, and they're fighting the other two estates. It just so happens they had passion on their side, and they get an early victory. Here come the commoners. People like us have just beaten the big, the big wigs. All right. They absolutely sliced the head off Louis XVI and his wife Marie Antoinette. Sliced their heads right off. At that point, it looks like the French Revolution is over and that the commoners have won. Everything's good except that what? The commoners find it hard to govern themselves. You're a commoner and you have your own way of thinking that France should be. You're a commoner and you have your way of thinking that France should be. And of course, I can go around the room. Everybody's got their own thoughts about France.
Yeah.
The problem is it devolves into chaos. So some guy steps up and says, I got to end the chaos. His name? Robespierre steps up to end the chaos. The problem is,
He kills people.
he didn't end it. Well, he tried to end it by killing everything.
He's a
So,
glutton.
40 to 60,000 fellow Frenchmen. Literally, the guy who yesterday you were having dinner with, this morning you cut his head off. In other words, it was an absolute just, the guillotine was going 24 hours a day, slicing heads off in Paris. And they were, okay, so, the reign of terror is what everyone else in Europe went, see, we told you dumb sons of bitches couldn't govern yourself. Okay, this might have been the low point of the French Revolution, because quite frankly, we didn't govern ourselves. So, at that point, into this chaos comes a guy, Napoleon. Napoleon comes out of this chaos. He basically puts like peace where he can. He's a military guy. He starts picking up some little countries along the way. All of a sudden, his name gets better and better known. One day, he's smelling himself and decides that what? He likes what he smells, and he wants an empire. Which means you got to pick off little countries and put them in your pocket. Okay. He wants to be an empire. He goes around picking all kinds of countries up in Europe. He picks up Spain. He picks up Italy. He picks up Egypt. He picks up Belgium, Holland. He's picking up countries all over the place. Poland. Boom, boom, boom. Put him in his pocket. Okay. The rest of Europe thinks what about him? Oh my, oh shit. This guy's a pain in the ass. Okay. They come after him 7 times. The first 6 times, who wins? Napoleon. Okay. If you thought he was smelling himself before, now he's smelling himself even more. In other words, it's almost you must think he's invincible. At one point, after 6 coalitions, he decides he's going to go into the country of Russia, but he gets his ass handed to him. 470,000 French young men are killed in this Russian campaign. He goes back home to Paris, and things are never the same. You can't kill 470,000 young people and not take a hit public relations-wise. All of a sudden, Golden Boy wasn't such a golden boy. Okay, now, at that point, he has one more battle left in him. He's going to try to reclaim his glory. He meets the 7th Coalition at a place called Waterloo, and what happened? That's it. He gets his ass handed to him. That's the end of Napoleon. Boom, gone, out. Now, at this point, France is basically in the shitter. It is in the toilet. Everything is chaos. It's a horror show. France, one of the greatest countries in the history of the world, is now down with the low-level scrubs. Okay. Great Britain is rising up on the backs of a meeting that took place in 1815 called the Congress of Vienne. Right? They're going to settle the European question. So France is in the shitter. Great Britain is higher and higher. Great Britain is so good, they decide that France had an empire. If Napoleon can do it, we can do it. So now they go around Europe putting countries in their pocket. Okay. The Queen sitting on the throne is Queen Victoria. She's watching all this as Great Britain gets bigger, bigger, and bigger. Okay. France is back in France, licking its wounds, sulking, mad, angry at the world. God bless. Okay. They're angry until something happens in 1852. Who appears on the scene? The grandson or the nephew? I always get confused. But he's a grandson or the nephew of Napoleon I. All right? Napoleon III appears on the scene in 1852. And the people of France get a little what? Yeah, like, oh shit, we're back. Okay. So, at this point, Napoleon, 1852, he wants to rebuild the French Empire. He looks around Europe. He's got to punch somebody in the face. Whoa. Well, okay. He looks around Europe for somebody to punch in the face. Who decides to punch? He decides to punch Prussia. Why? Well, okay. Prussia is a badass country. Okay, but suppose if you're France, and suppose I pick on Lithuania and I beat the shit out of them. What's the problem with that?
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Like, I don't know, you beat Lithuania. Who are you? But if you beat Prussia, now you're saying something. So, Prussia. See, okay, did I do this yesterday?
No.
Okay, don't get confused here. Do you know where Prussia is?
No.
Okay, I gotta say, here we go then. There's a region, okay, ready? Here we go again. You know where Germany is today? Germany. You know?
I'm not very mad.
Okay, very quickly. Very quickly. Very quickly, just so you know what we're talking about.
I erased all your hard work.
Okay.
All your hard work. I'm sorry. There's a map right
Here's England, okay?
Sir, there's a map right there.
Alright,
There is a map. Wait a minute, there is a map there. All right. Europe, you agree? My finger is on Germany, right here. Okay. Here's Germany's problem. Germany has, if you're German, I don't know how much you know about your heritage, but if you're German, you have a problem. You have, what do you call that when you have like doubts about yourself? Inferiority complex?
Yeah.
Okay, Germany has an inferiority complex. Why? You're Germany. You're in the center of Europe. Do you agree? Everything that ever happens in Europe had to go through your country. Everything. Everything went through Germany. Every other country in Europe had had their day in the sun. Italy had the Renaissance. Greece had ancient Greece. England had an empire. France had an empire. Spain owned the 14th century. Everybody else had been up to bat and hit a home run. Who hadn't been up to bat yet? Germany. If you're the person sitting in the center of class and not a conversation happened in a classroom but went through you, but yet you're the one that never seemed to be prom queen or prom king, is there a point where you say to yourself, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's what Germany's going through. They're in the what the hell moment. How can everybody else be having their day in the sun and we're sitting here in the middle of all the action like the center of a wheel and we get nothing? So they're mad. Okay, in the German region, over here is a little German region called Prussia.
Okay.
Don't be confused with Russia. Don't ever be confused with Russia. It sounds like, that's it. Prussia is a region in Germany, like South Jersey is a region of Jersey. Okay, so Prussia is a region in Germany. You may know it from the mall. King of Prussia, King of Prussia Mall. That's where it comes from, King of Prussia. So now, you're going to go after a little German state called Prussia. That's who you want to punch in the face. Now, why would Prussia, if you're Prussia, fine. Why would they agree to fight France? Just because somebody wants to fight you, you don't have to what?
They want to do something.
You don't have to fight back. I mean, Prussia could say no. Why does Prussia want to fight France? Here's why. Prussia is aware of Germany's inferiority complex. It knows that German people need pride. That right now they're feeling stepped on by people all over Europe. So here's what they want. Prussia is willing to fight France so that all of Germany unifies. And that they can then do what? Have their day in the sun. Prussia is willing to take on France just for one reason only. If we win, every other little German region is going to want to get in line, and we're going to have a fully unified Germany for the first time in history, and world watch out. Because when Germans unite, what are we going to do? We are going to make up for lost time. We are going to kick some ass. Okay, so they want German unification. And the way you want to do this is by beating a badass like France. By the way, you see each side of the story. Yeah, if you're France, if I beat these guys, we look like we're back in the game. If I'm Prussia, if I beat these guys, we look like we're the up and coming player. I get it. Here we go. Germany at the time had two people at the helm driving the ship. You should know both their names because they're going to matter. Two people. One was Wilhelm I. That sounds German. And Bismarck, Otto. That sounds German. Okay. These two people are steering the ship through these waters. They're basically guiding Prussia through this war.
Who was the second guy?
Otto von Bismarck. Okay. Why does it matter that these two are steering them? Because these two guys know one thing and one thing only. They're military monsters. If there's a bullet, they want to fire it. If there's a punch, they want to throw it. If there's a bomb, they want to drop it. If there's a sword, they want to swing it.
This is all about the action.
In other words, do these guys here, do they want to make any kind of political alliance with anybody? What do they want to do? They want to fight. They built up, it'd be like this. It'd be like you go into the gym for 9 months and you're lifting weights, right? And you're lifting weights. You come out looking like this. You didn't do that except for one reason. You came out to kick some ass. All right? So you get these two guys lifting weights for 9 months. Prussia is ready to do what? Kick some ass. These two guys, they come out like this. Okay, now, in 1870, both sides are ready for war. In 1870. And they're going to fight the biggest war that if you've never heard about it, from this moment on, don't ever pretend you haven't. This might be the most important war in the last 200 years.
Why?
Who said why? Okay, why? If France wins this war, right? Now, look at Europe, right? It's the center of the Western world, right? So what happens in Europe matters to Americans. Okay, so you're Europe. What happens in this war matters. Suppose you're France, all right? Suppose France wins the war. Is France an uncivilized shithole of a country? No, not at all. France, they have Paris, they have culture, they have the Louvre. They're like the most cultured country in Europe. If France wins the war, things won't devolve into an out-and-out slugfest, if you know what I mean. If France wins this war, it'd be like two kids fighting, but when the battle's over, they'll shake hands and the school goes back the same. If Prussia wins the war with these two guys, what's going to happen to Europe? It's going to be an all-out, knock-down, drag-out bloodbath. Who's going to win the war? Prussia. And what happens in 1914? An all-out, knock-down, drag-out bloodbath called World War I. I'm saying, this is the most important war you never heard about. Maybe you did hear about it, but if you didn't, don't ever act again like you didn't. When I talk to another teacher, right, this is always my barometer of how smart they are. Like when some other teacher, like, I don't mean a math teacher, but if we're talking about something, right, not that they're not smart, but they're a math guy. But if I'm talking to someone about something, and the War of 1870 comes up, and they go like, then I can't respect you. Then I can't respect you anymore. That's how important this is. If France wins this war, we may not be talking World War I. And if we're not talking World War I, we're not talking World War II. Okay, now, going into this battle, if you were making bets, it would have been 20-1 people betting on France. Meaning, nobody thought Prussia had a chance simply because of France's reputation, simply because of the Napoleon, right? The whole world was betting on France to beat the hell out of Prussia. And 2 weeks later, the war was over. Napoleon was captured. Prussia beat the living hell out of them in 2 weeks. They just went in there and beat them with their fist flying. Game over. France was beaten to a pulp and retreated into a corner. Okay? France goes back into a corner and it's just like, oh my God, what happened to us? And by the way, this will come back to haunt, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Prussia, go.
So this war happened because Prussia wanted to be known as it.
They wanted to unify Germany. Let's just say you're Prussian, right? You're great. You're a German and you love to fight. Everybody in here is German, but we don't have your back. You go fight. And then when he fights, I don't have your back. You go fight. We're all German, but we're not united. Here's what you're thinking: if you can beat me and I'm France, people are going to look at you and say, "What? Wow!" And from now on, everyone's going to want to be behind you. And by the way, he was exactly correct. When they beat France, Germany unified. You know the Germany you see today? That came about in 1870. That's what happened. When Prussia won that war, everybody went, we're on board. Welcome to World War I. That's what I'm saying. This is the most. That's why you don't have World War I without this. And if you don't have World War I, you don't have Hitler. Who came, I mean between the war and then World War II. Everything changes if this war is not here. Go.
So how they kill Napoleon?
Which one? The third? He got captured 10 days later at a place called Sedan, S-E-D-A-N. And they wouldn't have killed him. They probably just gave him back someday. But his reputation was what? It was horrible. No, at that point,
He would rather be dead.
yeah, who said that? I think he would rather been killed.
So you offered up for them to kill him?
It's like
I don't, believe it or not, I guess you can Google it. I don't know what happened to him, but I can't believe they killed him because you normally don't kill people like that. But his reputation, at that point, don't forget, people looked at him, where am I? People thought he was going to lead France back to the promised land. He lost in 10 days. Not only did you lead us, what? You embarrassed the shit out of us. No, he's done. Reputation over. Okay, now, at this point, France is down, you agree. Prussia is up. Now, if you're Prussia, you saw what France did when they were up. They wanted an empire. You saw what Great Britain did when they were up. They wanted an empire. What do you think Prussia and Germany want now? Empire. They're going to go around Europe picking off countries and putting them in their pocket. They're going to pick off countries, put them in their pocket. And every time they did, their army got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, if you're Europe, I'm watching Madorno, right? You're Prussia, and now everybody in here is on side, and all your military stuff, you're building bigger and bigger cannons. You're building rockets. You're building anything. If I'm Europe, what am I thinking to myself?
oh my.
Europe is having an incredible, where am I? Oh shit moment.
Oh, I thought that.
No, that's exactly, this is what Europe feared for 400 years. Europe always feared a unified Germany because they knew that if Germany ever unified, they would want their day in the sun. And the German people are hardworking, they're smart, they're industrious, they're all the things that right? They're great. They knew that when they unite, look out, especially under these two guys.
Oh, yeah.
Here coming, if you smell closely, you can smell World War I coming. Okay, so Europe has their oh shit moment when Germany unites and wants to be an empire. Okay, now you're Great Britain. Ready? Let's go around Europe. You're Great Britain. You're England. You have Great Britain, and you have a dozen companies, a dozen countries. So you're an empire. You're great.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear the Ottomans?
Yes.
The Ottomans are basically the Turkish people. The Turkish people are over there, right? Like to the east of Europe, but they're there. They have an empire. The Ottomans are Turks, right? Muslims, a lot of them, some not all of them. They have an empire. They got a dozen countries that are behind them. There's 24 countries. Austro-Hungary, have you heard of that? All right. That Austria-Hungary, they have an empire. They got a dozen countries behind them. How many people now? How many countries now? We got about 36 countries involved. Do you see what's coming? World War. It's, in other words, what's happening is it's not just this country against that country. It's you and your dozen countries against him and his dozen, against him and his dozen. When this thing finally fights, it's gonna explode like the world has never seen. So, you got the British Empire, they're fighting. You got the Ottoman Empire, they're loading up. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, they're making guns. You got the Russians, they got their own empire. They're making bullets and guns. And you have France licking their wounds back in France, who swears that what? We're gonna get our shit back together and we're gonna be what? We're gonna go back to being an empire.
Oh, gosh.
What's America doing?
We're just chilling. Funny you said that, because I got that what's missing. I'm gonna get that one second.
USA.
Okay. All these countries, 50 of them, right? In other words, not just the front end, but the empire part. Everybody's having the greatest military buildup the world has ever seen. Everybody's having the greatest military buildup the world has ever seen. Never before. And I don't mean just go.
So all those people are like teaming up that.
All these people here, right? They're all just sitting home making guns.
So they're not doing
They're
that.
all home making cannons. They're all home sharpening their knives. Every one of them. Everybody's home making a cannon. Now, what's the problem, right? Problem is, what do you do when I have like 8 million cannons? All it takes is one to go off, and then the other 7 million, you know what I'm saying? That's what's gonna happen. It's like you got a mob out front, and for right now, there's no fight, but all it takes is one what?
One shot.
One punch, and forget it. Okay, so now, you got this military buildup all over Europe. Now, this is where it gets weird. I want you to understand one more thing and I'll stop. This is like somewhere after 1870 and before 1914. That's where the era we're talking. Everybody's building weapons. The Wright brothers did something in North Carolina. They made a plane, and somebody got the bright idea that what? Hey, wait a minute. I can put a bomb on that son of a bitch. Guess what? Welcome to airplanes in combat. Somebody else said what? I can put a 12-inch gun inside an armored vehicle. A tank. In other words, we're not talking bayonets. Remember the bayonet? We're not talking bayonets anymore. This shit is real. And besides regular guns, all of a sudden I got bombs and airplanes, I got tanks. I'll tell you something else I got. I got chemical weapons where, here, right? I'm gonna drop a mustard gas on your village. But here's the problem. While I dropped it, the wind shifted. And instead of killing all your people, it came back and killed my own. Oh shit, I guess I'll have to drop more. And it was melting people's faces off. That's right, then here come the gas masks. Okay, here's my problem. Now, so you got people making these weapons. As far as the fighting that will actually come, they fought trench. You know what trench warfare is? Yes. They simply dug in, right? Here's a trench, and you had a soldier in here. There's a trench over here. You had a soldier here, and all they did was what? Was they fired bullets back and forth at each other. What was this land here known as? No man's land. Because if you went inside there, you were an easy kill. But this is trench warfare. How long would the trenches go on for? Miles. In other words, this hole in the ground was from here to Haddon Heights, and it was lined with men. And you stuck your head up, and you just kept firing. Guess what? Here's the problem with this. Trench warfare was being fought since the 14th century. What's the problem with fighting trench warfare with these weapons? You're fighting a what? You're fighting a medieval war with modern weapons. When you talk about death tolls, the world has never seen this type of death toll. If you're fighting trench warfare and all you got is bayonets and knives, okay, you may lose 150 men. But if I'm fighting trench warfare and I'm dropping bombs from airplanes, I'm running over you with tanks, and I'm dropping chemical weapons, what just happened to your 150 men? It's going to go up to it's going to go up into the millions. This is what's going to happen in World War II. Now, so that's the big problem. You're fighting medieval war with modern weapons. Now, next question, well, who just said it? Where's
America.
What's missing? Come on, people. Where are we? What the hell are we doing? Let's go.
The Civil War happened like 30 years
Yeah.
before, and America was still like.
We were like, getting our shit together, but now, did we take advantage of this?
Yes.
Yes, what did we do? What's America always do?
Trade.
We did what, Ray? They needed shit for their tanks? We got it. God bless you. So, America is home, but this is gonna matter. America is home, doing what it does best, which is making money.
Wow.
Yep, you're the guy on the sidelines. As you two are gonna fight, I'm selling like lemonade for what people watch her fight. Yeah. All right, we'll pick this up tomorrow.